Real quick before we dive into the actual video, I was this close to not using this because the lighting's changing so much, like the sun was going in and out. Everything was just not up to my personal usual standard. But hey, I'm out to New York tomorrow. Don't really have time to refilm it. So yeah, let's just take the video for the content it actually is. I've only had this adapter for like 4 or 5 days, so this isn't a full review. This isn't the best how-to or anything. This is just my first impressions and just going over a few things that I think everyone should know if you bought this adapter or you're considering buying the adapter. So if you've somehow clicked onto this video and you have no idea what this adapter is, well, let me run you through from the beginning. This is the Tilta Nucleus Autofocus Adapter, which takes PL mount lenses, Sony lenses, and turns them into essentially a Sony G Master with their autofocus capabilities. Unlike other systems like the DJI LiDAR system or the PD Movie that uses like a LiDAR thing to try and create that, this uses the native Sony autofocus where it's reading the image that's coming through the lens onto the sensor. The kind of this magic, the brain inside the body is then saying, this is what you want to autofocus on, this is the area, this is the face, this is the eye, whatever it is. That sends it through the electronical connections from the sensor into the adapter. Then that adapter then sends that into these things, motors, the focus motors and the iris motors, and that then controls the autofocus, so you can get autofocus on a cine lens. So I've been looking at buying a set of the Vespid 2s for a very long time, but from a lot of my work being in the sports industry and a lot of fast moving things and not having a massive crew all the time, it's quite difficult to use cine lenses in those environments. But I do like the look of them, so I thought if I'm going to get some Vespid 2s, they're quite clean, they're quite neutral, but still give a really nice cinema look. And when Tilta released this adapter a couple of months ago, or released the pre-orders, I was one of the first to get it because I knew how much of a game changer this could be. Now, the verdict is still out, I'll be honest, the verdict is definitely still out, but we're seeing if we can make it work. But I'm not going to make this an introduction or overview on the adapter. You can find that elsewhere. This is just a few quick tips and my first impressions. So first things first, obviously you connect the adapter into the 2 motors via the port on the left side. And then it does come with a supplied USB-C cable, but it's very short. So on my FX3, this is fine. But when I have my FX6, like you can see, it's at a stretch to try and get there. I mean, it's not the best focus situation here, but the port is here. The battery is all the way down here. I can probably tilt this, but I'll keep it for the top down angle. Anyway, so even though they do say only use proprietary cables, I've had no issues using just a slightly longer USB-C cable that plugs into there, and automatically you can see the lights coming on. It's flashing around, doing its thing, setting up. Just like that, we're in business. So once you have a green light on the right, that is your iris, and the pink light on the left, that is your focus, you're pretty much good to go. So it does come with an entire library list. So on the screen here, you can see if I awkward lens list, click into that, then you've got a bunch of lenses that the profiles are basically just like pre-put into the lens, the kind of adapter. You can see these random letter ones, they aren't lenses. They're essentially, you can make custom lenses, which I'll get onto later on, but it kind of just saves a fold and I had to put random things whilst I was making this. But before we dive more into the actual adapter and setting that up, I do want to talk about rigging this thing. So it's fine. You know, if you're used to using rails, rods, kind of things, then you have the plate at the bottom, then this is no different. But I wasn't, because I'm coming from an autofocus background. So I don't love this system here. Bring this up. I don't love this system here that's like under the whole thing. Like usually I wouldn't put this camera on the tripod like this. I have the bigger plate, but it doesn't actually fit with these rods here. So I don't love that. Also, it makes it difficult to put on a gimbal if I'm using my FX3. I just don't love this situation here. Of course, it does the job and it's fine. It's just not my favorite. So what I've done is actually, look here, I've put this mount. Let me level this out. Yeah, you can see that. This mount here, for own rod holder, so I'll put this in. This is just a random, I think, 20 centimeter rod from Small Rig. That goes there, and now, if I unplug this, I can put this focus motor onto here. That will sit up there, like that. Now, technically, on most lenses, get back in focus. Technically on most lenses, I could probably do 2 of these next to each other, but because the Vespid 2s and how close going back and forth here, you can see how close
the iris and the motors are, these motors don't actually fit together properly. They can't sit without clashing. So because of that, it means I can't put two of them on this rod, which would be ideal. But for the most part, I think I just won't use the iris motor. I don't really need to change that often. It's cool, but I can happily twist it on the left on the lens. I don't need to necessarily do that with the autofocus. So I will then unplug that one, only have this, and now, without me changing anything, is that lined in? Yep. I should be able to plug this in without changing anything. Yeah, works. So it's quite loud right now. I need to tighten this. You can probably see that it's like wobbling a little bit, but you can see that works. So this will probably be my method going forward, just because I find it's easier to have one and have this bottom clear, and I'll do the same thing on my FX3. I'll just put this to the side, and having just one rod as opposed to two, for me, just makes it a lot easier. And yeah, I haven't seen anyone else using it in this way, so I thought that could be useful for anyone else. So now that we're past the rigging stage, you can see it works, no problem. We can go back and forth between background, subject, kind of thing. You can actually change the speed as well, so it's not as aggressive. In my testing, I'd set it to like as fast as it can go, just to see what it can do, but I probably wouldn't leave it like that. But listening to that though, I don't know how well this will pick it up. If you're moving quickly, it is quite audible. It's maybe not something you want to use for like a fast moving scene where you do need that audio, because you might get that. But pros and cons, you're getting autofocus and steady lens. You can't expect everything to be perfect. Going more into actually setting up the lenses now, so diving into the adapter, that is where, from everything I've seen online and myself, have had the most trouble. It's been quite frustrating to get it to work. It took me a good 2 hours maybe of tinkering. After trying it for about an hour, I looked online and saw there was a firmware update for I think the firmware update for the cable, firmware update for the motors, firmware update for the adapter, a bunch of updates, and it was really, really annoying. You don't know about that. My Sony lenses, or not lenses, sorry, my Sony body, whenever there's an update, they'll send you an email just so you're not kind of frantically thinking, why is this not working? You get an email saying there's been an update for this. A lot of people said they had to reach out to Tilta first to be able to get an update, which I don't understand. Just like post it, let everyone know who's bought it, what's happening, and go from there. So yeah, it's been a little bit buggy. And also from the other people I've spoken to, they've had bugs, but different bugs to me. So like all the adapters aren't really consistent. I'm not really sure what's going on there. They aren't all like, oh, everyone has the exact same problems. I've seen 4 or 5 different problems that I don't have, but other people have. And yeah, it's a little bit messy. Early days, this is something that is very innovative, so I'm giving Tilta a little bit of slack. I'm hoping over the next few weeks, the next few months, that is cleaned up, and by the end of the year, is a perfectly working machine, because for the most part, it does everything you need. You can see it's doing that focus perfectly, having no issue. It's just that initial setup. So trying to adding a lens. So if I go here, menu, down here, lenses. Also, this control system is very annoying. It's not really ideal. Just having here, you can see I don't have the top handle on my FX6 right now, because 1, you wouldn't be able to see up there, and 2, it makes it hard to control. But lens list, go past that to add a lens. So if I wanted to add a lens in, this is again where you can kind of just like play around here. Maybe let me actually do this for a lens I want on here. Okay, so I put the 35mm on because that lens isn't in the library for whatever reason. I'll put the iris in here just so I can set everything up properly. And I'll do the focus. I'll probably put this on here just because that isn't as tight yet. I can't bother to re-rig all of it. You do want to make sure it is nice and tight against the focus rings and stuff, because if it is loose, you'll hear it spinning and just like gliding against it. Yeah, cool. Let's plug this back in. Plug them in. You want to put them in slot 1, the bottom one. If you put them in 2, it won't work. When you're updating the firmware, you want to put it in slot 2. If you put it in 1, it won't work. Also, when you're updating the firmware, you have to hold down the button. There's a bunch of small things that are quite frustrating. If you don't do it properly, then yeah, it does go wrong. Anyway, so let's turn this on. Okay, cool. So it's going through it. It kind of thinks it's 35mm, and my guess would be this would probably work kind of similar without me setting it up. So if I go in the focus box, yeah, so it's working very similar, not quite the exact same because I haven't set it up. So to do that, we go to menu, add lens, DZO. You can see how annoying this is to kind of go through this small dial. ZO. Another frustrating thing with this, you can't make a mistake, because if you do, you have to start the whole thing again. So if I accidentally put another O, I'm not even going to do it because I really don't want to start it again. You can't erase, you can't go back, you can't, yeah, it's just a bit annoying doing it that way. I wish there was some sort of app, some sort of way to connect it just to have this process be easier, because if I had this fully rigged up and we brought a new lens onto set, I mean, I wouldn't, because knowing how long this process is, but if we did, I would have to take the whole top handle off, I have to take a load of things off to clear it, go through this. It's just a bit frustrating. So that's what I would say to do. Here, this is the series Vespid. Oh, I just put P instead of S. And now you see, I'm making a mistake. I did it, and now it's ruined. I have to start the whole thing again. Now I just sped that up completely because you didn't want to see how long that actually took. Circle of confusion or something. It's around 0.03, but there isn't a 0.3 option, so I think 0.035. So we'll go for anamorphic, no, imperial. This is imperial. This is a 35mm. Dial that in. And now is where, for myself, I started to have issues, still trying to figure it out, but this is where the most complications have from the things I've seen online. So you first need to manually override this to find where infinity is. So infinity focus is there. Mark that on your lens and manually override the turn. Select that in, we mark that point. Cool. Now we'll go to the next point where we'll go 30 feet. So we'll go up here. And essentially you're going to repeat this process for every marking. The more you do, the better the performance is. Every marking on your lens of all the different points. So here's 30, 15, 10, 7 feet, all that kind of stuff. So I'll go through that and just hammer them all in. As I'm doing this, explaining the issues I had before when I was trying to map a new lens, where it started with this like gray line you're seeing, when I would move it to infinity, it would stay in the middle of the line. I wouldn't go right to the end of the line like it did there. No idea why it's changed now, but hey, I'm not complaining. But why that's an issue is because when I then turn it back, it then gets to the end of the line and I still have like half of the focus throw to go. So it means it just basically won't mark any points before that. It would only focus on everything from infinity to about 10 feet. I'm like, that's no use to me. I need to go all the way. So what the solution is for that, I have no idea, because I don't know how I fixed it. I just turned it back on and it seemed to be working okay. But it was for like a while when I was turning it on and off, resetting it, updating it, nothing was working. I just put it, I think it was, no, when I put it on my FX6, it suddenly started working. So no idea what that smelled. Nearly there now. As you start to put more in, it kind of starts to get where it's going to be. So like that, 1.5, 1.4, 1.4. It starts to like almost like understand, oh, this is how much we're turning, which is why you do want to put more points than you need, or not more points than you need, more points the better, just because like further up when it goes from like 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, it thinks it's going to go in that same pattern, but it does on lenses that slows down, you know, it's like 10, 7, 5, 3, 2.9, 2.6, that kind of thing. So the more you put in, the better this entire situation is. 1 foot. And then I guess that's minimum focus. What minimum focus is, there's no marker in that. So I'm just going to guess. Let's go with like 0.7. Sure, I should probably look that up, but I'll be fine. Cool. So enter on that. Now we've mapped the focus. As I twist this, you can see all the different focus marks that we do have. Just kind of double checking them. 1.10. Yep. Go way down to 3.6. Yep. So enter. Now you do the same thing with the iris. Again, I won't bore you with this. I'll skip to the end. T22. Perfect. So mapped in every point there. So it should. Yep. Cool. So we'll enter on that. It just says confirm and use. There. Now we're locked in. Tracking my hand, going with it. I mean, let's just tap on it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, lost it. There we go. It works. It's just very, very annoying at times. It's one of those things where I feel like Apple didn't make this. Obviously they didn't, it's Tilta, but this is the kind of difference between like Apple and Android. Apple make things and it's just really seamless. This is really good and it does the job you need. It does, you know, shifts the focus, it tracks you, it does everything, does all of it. It's just a bit clunky, it's a bit finicky. And yeah, this video has probably been all over the place, but I wanted to give like a more of a initial impressions to anyone who might be thinking of getting these, thinking of getting one of these, trying to use it, trying to figure things out. This may have answered some of those questions. Any other things, put it down in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer them. But that's pretty much the adapter. You know, it does what it says on the tin. It focuses, it shifts, it does everything. Because I do have that, I can change the thing here. You can see changing the, what's it called? The T-stop, all with the actual controller on the camera. So this does pretty much everything you need. The last two things I do want to go over, and I can see this lighting has just been changing all over in this video. And I do have a light, but the sun is just in and out, London living. Anyway, last thing I want to go over is the battery plate. So that is what you'd use if you aren't connected directly to a V-mount. You can plug it into this, but Sony L battery, Sony NPF battery into that. And I mean, this concept, I do understand it. However, it's really annoying because this plate has these kind of safety location anti-twist pins, which are cool. Yeah, I don't want to twist, but I can't remove them. I can't change the direction. I don't know what those other two holes for that are there, what you could possibly do with them because they're just holes, but these can't be removed. So it's very limiting where you can place this. You can't just put it anywhere where there's just one quarter 20 mount. Because these two pins, they don't push in, they don't do anything. You can't really put it anywhere. So when I was trying to figure out how I can put it on my FX3, I wanted to figure out ways to put it on the gimbal. I can't really put it on my gimbal on the right side because I need to push it more to the right and it's too close to the, what we're calling it, the main arm thing. Let me just get the gimbal. Okay, let's pretend this is my FX3. When this sits on here, kind of around here, you can see there's not that much of a gap between this and the end. So that means there's not really space to put the camera, this plate on the side, and a battery on top. It just doesn't work. And with the cage I have, which is a Tilta cage for my FX3, that's the only place. Yeah, pretty much. So there's another place in the bottom corner, but that's where the rod's gonna go. That's the only other place where this can go. Very annoying, means I can't really do much with it. What I've had to do is use this, I can't even remember what it's called. It's like a NitZ multi, I'll link it here. You can see the kind of photo. A multi-port kind of thing, which has a bunch of holes, a bunch of screws. I'm using that with a male hot shoe adapter thing, not adapter, but a hot shoe plate, so I can slide that in. So I'm sliding this on top of it. So this screws in there, and then this is sliding into the side of my FX3. And that's kind of how I've been doing it, just so I can have this option on the gimbal, because that's, again, one of the things I wanted to do is be able to use this in a magnitude of ways, especially in sport, and a lot of the time I do use gimbals. And if I can get like a really cool shot, I don't know, with a 85mm of the Vespid 2 on a gimbal, I think that can look really, really nice. But obviously you need to power it. So sliding that onto the camera there, which I will show a video of this once I pack this down. Sliding that into the camera there, I think is my best bet. Putting a battery here, I've got some smaller ones, not the massive NPF style batteries because it'll just weight down too much. So I'll slide the battery there, have the focus mount here. And that's pretty much how I'm hoping it will work. I'll confirm. I'm just gonna interrupt this now because I just tested the gimbal and it works. This is quite a Frankenstein rig. I couldn't do it how I planned initially with the battery on the side. Doesn't work, it's too much weight on one side, so I put it on the other side. But other than that, I think I need to tighten that a bit more. But yeah, it's working. You know, it's focusing, it's doing it all. So you can get away with not using the battery plate or the bottom like plate for the rods, and just put the rod on the side. You can see I have it there, kind of like coiled that cable together, just like so. Let me turn this light onto this a bit more. There we go. So that's kinda what that looks like. If I lock it, you can see from the top. And yeah, I mean, it works perfectly. You know, the focus is doing the same lens, everything is all good. Just make sure you do get a tight one of these. I probably will get a smaller rod, just because if I use like an 18mm, that will probably be in frame. I could slide it back, but if you see, that goes back further. When this is there, that will hit the screen. So that's kind of the, turn the gimbal on. That's kind of the way to do it. Still got clearance. And yeah, works for good. And that's pretty much it. You know, there's a few little things, just, you know, controlling it. It would be great if there was an app. If the cables were longer, or if you wanted to only use one motor, having one cable, because I mean, I haven't tried it, but from what I've seen, you can't use other cables for the actual motors, which kind of makes sense. But if I only want to use one motor and I have another cable just kind of flapping around, it does have these kind of like cable connection things, so I'll keep it together. But it'd be nice to be able to have just one cable. Oh, I wonder if the shorter, maybe I can use this cable. That's technically the power cable on one of them. If that works, then I take this back, because they should still apply one more cable. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions please drop them down below. I'll do my best to try and answer them. This has been my kind of first impressions, my main experience. I'll probably do a follow-up video after about a month of really using this. And yeah, we'll see where we go from there. So if you've got a lesson life or like or remember from this video, I'd really appreciate if you drop a like down below. And if you're feeling nice enough, you could hit the subscribe button, but I'll leave the option up to you. That being said, I will catch you in the next one. See ya.